Hey, let's go ahead and do a little bit of review of fingerprint types going through. And we need to keep in mind that when we do this, we are needing to know whether it's left-handed or right hand. And in the hands, remember the outer bone is always the ulna. Radius is over here by the thumb. Okay. So when you're looking at a print, remember the print is taken face down. So you've got to look which way. If it's a loop, is it pointing towards the thumb or is it pointing towards the little finger? If it's pointing towards the thumb, that's going to be a radial loop. If it's pointing towards the little finger, that's going to be an ulnar loop. There's another video that I have online, YouTube. Go look for that. I also link it into the page. But keep that in mind, radial versus ulnar. Yeah, so I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a left hand. So if we look at the print itself, on a loop, you're always going to see it come in one side, then go back the same side. So it's going to come around and loop around and do that. If it's a left hand, notice it's coming off this side. Okay, it's where it's coming. So that means it's going to be a radial loop. All right, way to go. Okay, looking at this side. On this one, you notice it comes up, hooks over, and then comes back down. Okay. Now, it's not a loop because we don't have a whole bunch of them. In fact, we only got a couple that are doing that right here. It's not a whirl, it's not a loop, so we're running out of options. We've got arch, hint, arch. Hey, all right. So, the reason they call it a tented arch is because it actually has this really sharp peak before it comes down. A plain arch would be a very smooth thing, kind of like a wave on the ocean. So if we look at this, here's the other thing, and the big feature right here is what's here in the center. Notice it kind of swirls around like a whirlpool. So that's a whirl. Okay. So on this one, notice it kind of spirals in once again. Okay. Because it's spiraling in, we're not going from one side to the other. It's not arching up. So once again, we're going to have a whirl. Okay. Whirlpool kind of gives you an idea on these things. If we look at this one, notice it's coming in, goes up, and it comes back out. And we've got a whole bunch that come back out that same side. So automatically we have a loop. Now, if it's a loop, if it's a left hand, that means it's coming actually back out to this side. So that means it's going to be a radial loop. Whoa, back up. Hold the fish. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that messed up. It's an ulnar loop. I'm just looking at my hands upside down. Okay, so yeah, that is an ulnar loop. I apologize for that. Okay, now on this one, there we go. We're going up and we're going over. It's not really sharp peak. It is an arch. You can see the arch. So we're just going to call that a plain arch. Tented arches have a really sharp peak to it. Now on this one, notice we come in, we've got zigzag, kind of that S shape. So if you look, we've got a loop there and we've also got another loop here. So this is just going to be a double loop whirl. Okay. And you can definitely see if you look right here and you look right here, those things are called the deltas. That's one of the minutiae we look for. In this case, looking through, once again, notice you got that whirl pattern. Okay. We've got a delta here, we've got a delta here. And I'm not going to worry about whether it's central pocket or plane. We're just going to say, hey, it's a plain whirl because we can't see the other piece. It's a little bit hard to make out the details for what you're doing. Once again, you're coming in, nice little water wave going on. So we're going to be our plain arch. Oops, sorry, there we go. And once again, left hand. So this is the print taken straight down. So it's opening up to this side, which on your hand is going to be going towards your thumb. So that's going to be your radial loop. Okay, so it's important to remember when you take these prints, they're pressing straight down. When you lift up, you're going to see which way it was going based on that hand. They're not always going to be left-handed. Okay, so if you look, definitely you see the circling, and you can actually see some pretty complete circles. Now, at this point, we know it's a whirl. We got to figure, okay, is it going to be a central pocket or is it going to be a plane? And that's where we want to look at those deltas. Whorls, we're going to see deltas. We're going to see 2 deltas. So the question, if I draw a line between the 2 deltas, if those circles cross that, it's going to be one type. If they don't cross it, it's going to be the other type. So you've got to be able to find those things and draw. Now, in this case, it crosses it, so it's going to be a plane whorl. Okay. If for some reason it would have touched down here where it would not have crossed it, that would have been your central pocket. Central pocket because it's nothing touching it. Okay. So in this case, go through. Notice we circle around. There's one delta. There's another delta. Notice if I draw a line between these, it's not touching that pocket. So in this case, we've got our central pocket whorl. Hopefully you see the differences between that one and that one, to where those deltas are and the line between them, what it would do. Okay, so this one definitely, hopefully you figured out that it is a whorl. Okay, and we've actually got 2 things on here, but it's kind of jumbled up. So a lot of times they'll call that an accidental because there's no real shape that you can see out of it. Going through what? Up and over. Notice we've got this nice sharp peak to it. Okay, so tented arch. Left hand, hopefully you see that S pattern, that shape in there. Got the letter S right there. There's your double whorl, double loop. Okay. We call it double loop. It's actually a whorl, but we call it just brace it. Double loop. Going through this one, notice we come in one side and we go back out that same side. So once again, we have a loop. It's going through. It's from your left hand. So that means it's actually coming back out, entering this side, back out this side. Okay, so that means we're going to have an ulnar. Okay, hopefully this is beginning to make a little bit more sense. Coming through, we're up, steep peak, going back over, so we got another tented. If you can always just fast forward through this a little bit more, just giving you some ideas. Notice we've got that whorl again, the little whirlpool. There's one of my deltas where they converge. Got another one right here. If I were to draw the line's not going to cross over these circles that go all the way back up. So that's going to be our central pocket. Central pocket and plane are a little hard to get, but you'll get it with practice. Delta, where you've got the 3 peaks, 3 things coming together. Draw a line, and it's going to cross it. So once again, central. Whoa! I would disagree with that one. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, what am I thinking? No, my brain is fried. Sorry, guys. That is indeed a plane because it does cut through the circles. Central pocket doesn't cut through. Okay, minutiae we're going to get into more. You've seen some of it. These are basically how we truly tell fingerprints different. A lot of people can have ulnar loops, or they can have central pocket whorls. We actually have to look inside the fingerprints to tell the differences between them. And these are some of the things we look at. These are called the minutiae. So if we go through, give you some examples. And basically, if you see this one, go through, and we would say that's actually a loop, but that's not a big deal. Okay, if you notice this one, this is called a crossover. If you remember in biology, basically what it looked like for the chromosomes. They come in, and you've got that X shape. Hopefully you see that. That's a crossover. Core is the center where things are going to wrap around, move around. Okay. Bifurcation, bifurcation. Fork is another name for it. It's where a line or ridge comes in and splits. Ridge ending where it just all of a sudden stops. That makes sense. In island, that one's hard to see. There's a gap here. Is where basically all of a sudden you've got a piece of ridge that is not connected to anything. Once again, delta, you can kind of see where we could make a triangle there. Pores are hard. Basically, pores are all these little white dots. Those are the things that sweat and create the oils. So if we look at this, I'm going to move me over here. Look at this piece right here. Notice I've got it coming in. It goes both ways. Okay, this is called an eye or a lake. In this case, we come through and notice that if we go this way, it's a little bit harder. But if I come this way, notice what it does at this point. It forks over. Notice I keep going on this one, and it forks over. This is a bifurcation or a double bifurcation. There's two forks or one fork depending on what you're going to look at, but it's still a forking. It's a bifurcation. Okay. If we look at C coming through, you can look. It kind of looks like a delta, but there's something else I wanted you to see. Notice this one comes up and over. This one's a little bit further down, but notice you've got this little guy between them that's connecting them, kind of like a bridge. So that's a bridge where it's connecting between two ridges. There's a bifurcation. This isn't because it's just connecting the two, it's not splitting them. And this is just going to either be an island or it's going to be a short ridge. And go through. Easy enough. Okay. So once again, let's do this for the last one. Going through, and you see that little guy? The blacks are the ridges. Okay. So that's a little tiny thing between the ridges. So that's going to be a little island. Basically, there's our core. There's where everything's revolving around. And hopefully you figured it out that as we go through this is a loop because it comes in, leaves on the same side. There's our fork. Notice the ridge comes up, stops, ridge ending. You can kind of see the triangle here. There's our delta. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Rewatch these. I'll see about putting in an ed puzzle if that helps out, but we can go from there.